First is Mr. John P. Higgins, is the Inspector General of the U.S. Department of Education. Mr. Higgins has served in a number of senior management positions in the Department of Education and his predecessor, the Department of Health and Education and Welfare, during more than 38 years of federal service. He became the Deputy Inspector General of the Department of Education in January 1996 and was nominated by President Bush on September 18, 2002 to become Inspector General. He will be accompanied by Mr. Raza, also of the Inspector General's office.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify on the work of my office. Reading First is a $1 billion per year program that was established to provide kindergarten through third grade reading programs based on scientifically based reading research. The goal of the program is to ensure that every student can read at grade level or above by the end of the third grade. In May of 2005, my office began receiving allegations about Reading First. The allegations indicated that the department was promoting and excluding specific programs and assessments, as well as using consultants with ties to these programs and assessments. As a result, we decided to perform a series of 6 reviews. My comments today will focus on the work we performed at the department. To put our work in context, it is important to understand that the Department of Education's Organization Act prohibits department officials from exercising any control over the curriculum of a school. In addition, the No Child Left Behind Act includes a similar prohibition. Through our work, we found that the department, 1, appeared to inappropriately influence the use of certain programs and assessments, 2, failed to comply with the statutory requirements and its own guidance, 3, obscured the requirements of the statute, and 4, created an environment that allowed real and perceived conflicts of interest. First, with regard to the inappropriate influence, we found that the department allowed certain activities that led, in part, to a perception that there was an approved list of reading programs and assessments. Let me highlight for you some of the activities that led to this perception. The department and the National Institute for Literacy sponsored 3 leading leadership academies. These academies were designed to assist the states in preparing Reading First applications. The department exercised control of the content and the presenters for the academies. Of 10 theory to practice presentations, 6 contained information on direct instruction program. The luncheon speaker...
Mr. Higgins, if you could pull your microphone a little bit closer to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see, where was I? Of the 10 theory to practice presentations, 6 contained information on the direct instruction program. The luncheon speaker for 2 of the academies also focused on direct instruction. Some academy participants expressed concerns about the content of the sessions. One participant indicated, "I felt like it was a direct instruction sales pitch." The Reading First statute requires the use of reading assessments. Each participant at the Reading Leadership Academies was provided a handbook that included an article featuring 1 reading assessment called Dibbles. Later, the department published a guidebook, which also contained an article featuring Dibbles. While other assessment instruments were listed in the handbook and the guide, only Dibbles was featured in an article in both books. Not surprisingly, 43 states indicated that they would use Dibbles as one of their assessments. In addition, we found that the department inappropriately arranged to have a report on assessments publicized. The National Institute for Literacy contracted with the University of Oregon to perform a review of assessments. Out of the hundreds of assessments available for the review, the university reviewed 29 and found 24 of them to be acceptable. 7 of the 24 were tied directly to the people working on the review. The National Institute for Literacy decided not to issue their final report because it might appear as if they were endorsing products. However, the department, without coordinating with the National Institute for Literacy, directed the author of the report, who worked at the University of Oregon, to post it on the university's website. We also identified instances where department officials intervened with regard to reading programs and assessments being selected by states. In some instances, state officials and their representatives worked to influence states to select specific programs or assessments. These instances of intervention concern direct instruction and DIBELS. In other instances, the department officials worked to influence states to not select specific programs. These instances of intervention included programs such as Rigby, Reading Recovery, and Right Group. However, the department never documented its assertions that these programs were not aligned with scientifically based reading research. Second, we found that the department did not comply with the Reading First statute or its own guidance. Again, let me highlight for you the information that led us to this conclusion. The Reading First statute called for a balanced panel to review applications. The department and 3 other organizations were to each select at least 3 experts for the panel. Senior department officials decided to use subpanels for the review process and to create an advisory and oversight panel with 3 representatives from each of the organizations required by the statute. However, the advisory and oversight panel concept was never implemented. As a result, the process used by the department was not in accordance with the requirements of the statute, since none of the subpanels created by the department included representation from each of the required organizations. We also identified evidence that the Reading First director personally nominated 3 individuals for subpanels who had professional connections to direct instruction. These 3 individuals reviewed 23 state applications. In choosing individuals to serve on the subpanels, the Reading First director showed a strong bias for those he knew supported direct instruction and a strong bias against those who favored reading recovery. We also found problems with how the department communicated the panelists' comments. Although the panelists adequately documented their reasons for stating that an application was not ready for funding, this documentation was not provided to the states as called for by the department's guidance. Instead, the department created a document in which it changed panelists' comments, left off comments, and added comments of its own. The new document was the only document that was provided to the states. Third, we found that the department obscured the requirements of the statute by inappropriately including and excluding standards in the application criteria. Emails from the Reading First director indicated that this was done in order to help the states understand what he wanted Reading First classrooms to look like. Finally, the department did not place an appropriate level of emphasis on issues of conflict of interest. This can be seen in 2 specific areas. First, the screening process that the department created for the subpanels that reviewed applications was not effective. The department did not ask panelists about their impartiality. In addition, the department did not review the panelists' resumes for potential conflicts of interest. Second, the department's contractor, RMC Research Corporation, did not adequately address conflicts of interest. The department used RMC to provide technical assistance to states and to assist the states in preparing applications. However, RMC did not ensure that their organizational conflict of interest clauses were included in the agreements of the consultants. In addition, neither the department nor RMC adequately vetted technical assistant consultants for potential biases. As a result, we noted connections between individuals and organizations that presented an appearance and impaired objectivity. In conclusion, our work showed that the department did not comply with the Reading First statute regarding the composition of the application review panel and the criteria for acceptable programs. Further, the department's actions created an appearance that it may have violated statutory provisions that prohibit it from influencing the curriculum of schools. However, because the department officials often justified their bias against particular programs by saying the programs were not aligned with scientifically based reading research, I cannot say with certainty that these statutes were violated, since we did not assess whether the particular programs were based on scientifically based research or not. Based on our work, we made a number of recommendations to the department, which it accepted. We also suggest that the department consider clarifying whether reading programs need to have scientific evidence of effectiveness in order to be eligible for funding under the Reading First program, and clarify conflict of interest requirements in federally funded programs. That concludes my statement, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.